Number 2 in our ACC post-spring power rankings is the Miami Hurricanes, coming in at plus 340 on FanDuel's odds to win the ACC this year.
That's a big difference, man, from the plus, what was it, 165, 160?
Yeah.
From Clemson. That's a big difference, yeah.
Yeah, they went back to the well, obviously, number 4 ranked portal class. That's where Cristobal does a lot of his damage lately in the past couple of years. Obviously, the big acquisition was Carson Beck, like you mentioned earlier, coming back, coming from Georgia. Obviously, he was, swayed pretty heavily to go to Miami, and now that sway is probably no longer there, it sounds like.
Other than the money.
Yeah, and the money too. Yeah, and to live in South Beach in Miami, it's pretty solid. You got a weapon transferring in, to throw the ball to C.J. Daniels, who was at Liberty and at LSU, kind of underperformed at LSU a little bit last year. Francis Mauigoa anchors that right side of the line. He looks like to be a projected top 10 NFL draft pick in 2026. They got Ruben Bain back on defense. They totally revamped that secondary because you have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft in 2025, and to lose games to Georgia Tech and Syracuse like they did because they couldn't stop anything.
Number 1 ranked offense in the country last year.
Yeah, that's
with the number 1 overall pick quarterback, like you just said.
Yeah, severely underperforming. They revamped their secondary. They brought in guys from Jacksonville State, Michigan State, Wisconsin. So they dipped in the portal to try to revamp stuff.
Yeah, and I like to hire Corey Heatherman as defensive coordinator. He did a wonderful job at Minnesota, one of the top defenses in different, statistical categories, all in the entire country. He was on Greg Schiano's staff at Rutgers before that, so he's got a really good track record. I definitely think that they needed a new face, obviously, calling the defense there. But what Cristobal has built, like we all know that he doesn't have an issue with talent acquisition. They do a wonderful job in high school recruiting. Like Ruben Bain, like you mentioned, for example, Mauigoa, the offensive tackle position. They've got players that they've recruited at a high level out of high school. And they're doing a good job of mixing in the portal with that. They're not just relying on the portal. They're obviously just hitting, let's call it what it is, some home runs in the portal. Like Cam Ward out of the portal, obviously, that was a home run. Carson Beck, whatever people want to think about him, like that has an opportunity in this Shannon Dawson offense and the way they attack you vertically down the field. Carson Beck has a chance to really just be very successful in this offense. And I know it's strange to say this because he played for such a talented team like Georgia. He's going to have a better offensive line at Miami than he had last year at Georgia. This offensive line for Miami is going to be the real deal. They also, another transfer that they brought in, James Brockermeyer. He used to be at Alabama. He went to TCU, had a really good year at TCU. He was the former number 1 center in the country coming out of high school. And now he's at Miami. So I just think that offensive line is going to be able to protect Beck. The competition that they're going to play in conference at Miami will not be obviously as stiff, especially with that number 1 strength of schedule that Georgia played last year in the SEC and playing Clemson in the non-conference. I just think this Miami team does have a chance to make some noise and possibly be right there again when Selection Sunday rolls around. They could be one of those teams sitting there fighting for one of those playoff bids.
Yeah, the big question is obviously Mario Cristobal, right? I mean, can he get out of his own way? Will he? Obviously, I'm not going to blame either one of the losses really on him last year. It's a defense, but it's just like we've said, and we hate to say it again, but he does less with more than any other coach in the country.
Yep. I mean, I'm not trying to defend him. They are trending up. They obviously, having a 10-win season last year like they did, that was obviously a good trendward up from what they were before that. But, yeah, I mean, when you lose to teams that obviously you're significantly more talented than in the Qs and Georgia Tech last year, they kept you out of the playoffs with the offense and Cam Ward. Miami fans and everyone, again, it should be the expectation this year. With the talent that they've got, with Carson Beck at quarterback too, with the overall talent acquisition and the money that they spend, all of that, it should be an expectation that Miami makes the college football playoff this year. So if they don't, it's considered underachieving.